Welcome back to the online sessions on MWT. Now in the today's session we start with some part of Unit 3 because Unit 3 is normally going to have some resemblance with Unit 2 when we discuss about a cavity resonators. So therefore let us try to first of all cover this microwave circuit here. Now microwave circuit is something different with the normal conventional circuit that we are experiencing every day, which has been constructed by using a resistor, capacitor, amplifiers and diodes. So here you are not going to see resistors, capacitors, inductors like that. Instead you are normally going to see every time a microwave components or microwave waveguides. Okay, so these microwave loads. So microwave loads, microwave components will be different in comparison with the conventional tubes or conventional devices. Why it is so? Because at microwave frequencies the losses are going to be really tremendously high when we go with the ordinary lumped elements like inductor, capacitor and resistors. So therefore, because and next one is that the microwave waveguides or microwave components are going to get considered to have the effective resistance, effective inductance, effective capacitance effect over a distributed region of space. Therefore, we normally going to consider a separate circuits as separate components for the microwave circuits. Now in the previous class we have studied about a waveguide. So what is a waveguide? Waveguide comes under a component. Waveguide is known as one of the component of a microwave circuit, normally used to transmit the microwave signals from input to the output port. Now here we are going to speak in terms of the ports, right? So a waveguide is normally going to have 2, 3 or 4 number of ports. So waveguide simply comes under the component of the microwave circuit, normally used to transmit the signal from one end to the another end. Okay. Now similar to every circuit, now we have studied about an amplifier circuit. That is the basic application, okay, of an electronic circuit. Now an amplifier is normally going to have what are the important components an amplifier is going to have. Overall system of an amplifier. Every amplifier is going to, we have seen that it is going to have a power supply, which is known as VCC for us. Then next you are going to have a heart of the circuit known as a basic transistor, and next you have seen many electrical components such as resistors, capacitors, inductors have been connected accordingly, right, in order to get the desired output. So that is how normally we have seen the basic amplifier circuit here. Now here also we are going to have a conceptually similar kind of things, but practically we use a different kind of components in the microwave techniques. The reason being is we are working at very high frequencies at a gigahertz range, right? So we already discussed about the range of the microwave frequencies. It normally going to extend from 3 gigahertz to 300 gigahertz. That is what basically the microwave frequency range. Right. Now similar to every electronic circuit, what is the difference between electrical circuit and electronic circuit? All the electronic circuits are going to operate with a power supply, whereas coming to electrical circuits, directly they are going to operate with the AC mains, AC signals. So therefore, now even though it is a microwave lab, our microwave lab is also going to have, definitely should have a compulsorily a power supply, which is normally going to supply the DC power. Okay, so therefore let us start working with this microwave circuit now. So what are the components this particular microwave circuit is going to have? The first component which we have to bother about, now here first of all we study in terms of the block diagrams, right? In each and every block we discuss about the various components which could come over there. Okay, so first of all you are going to have a klystron power supply. Klystron power supply. Why the power supply has to be there in the circuit? If at all you have a power supply, it designates that it is a pure electronic circuit. In order to make it to designate as an electronic circuit, definitely all the electronic circuits are going to operate with the DC signal, DC power supplies. So therefore definitely a power supply has to be there for an electronic circuit. Now this DC power supply is been given to applied to a klystron tube with mount. You normally going to have a klystron tube with a mount, with klystron mount. We call this as klystron mount. Klystron tube with klystron mount. So klystron power supply is normally going to supply power to the klystron tube or klystron oscillator. It can also be called as an oscillator. Then after this, you normally going to have another circuit called isolator. You normally going to have a circuit called isolator. Now we'll discuss about one by one. Now after isolator, you normally going to have another important component, that is going to be the attenuator, variable attenuator. Variable attenuator. Variable attenuator. Then after attenuator, you normally going to have a frequency meter. You normally going to have a frequency meter. After frequency meter, you normally going to have a slotted line section. So you're going to have a slotted line section. Slotted line section. Then to this slotted line section, we're going to connect a meter, okay, known as VSWR meter. VSWR meter. Then you normally going to have the load here. Okay, VSWR meter. So now this is the basic setup of a microwave circuit. Now this particular setup, we call it as a microwave setup bench. This setup bench is normally used to transmit a microwave signals. So therefore microwaves are the very high frequency signals. If they are radiated as an EM waves, they can travel in a very long distance. That is the reason why instead of using a conventional circuits, we are going to use a separate microwave setup bench. Now the first one is klystron power supply. For every electronic circuit to operate, we need a DC power supply. So therefore this klystron power supply is normally going to supply huge amount of power, around 0 to 300 volts of voltage it is going to supply. Okay, so next is it is going to supply around 0 to 30 milliamperes of current in our laboratory. Now then this is been supplied to a klystron tube. Klystron tube is known as a microwave oscillator. So it is normally going to generate the microwave signals. What is the purpose of an oscillator? Oscillator is going to generate the output without any input signal. So exactly similar kind of a job this is also doing, but it is generating a microwave signals. It is not generating the conventional low frequency or high frequency signals. It is generating a signal frequency at a gigahertz range. At a gigahertz range. In our laboratory, we are generating the frequency up to 12 gigahertz. In the laboratory, we are generating a microwave signals up to only 12 gigahertz, because we know the microwave frequencies are going to range between 3 gigahertz to 300 gigahertz. They are known as the microwave frequency signals. So these are microwave frequencies. Okay, so 3 gigahertz to 300 gigahertz is basically the microwave frequency range. Right. So now after the klystron power supply is going to generate the microwave signals, then next this particular signal, which is nothing but going to be a very high frequency signal, has to be processed. Now in order to do that particular thing, we are having a component known as isolator. What is isolation means? Isolation is nothing but a separation. Conceptually, input and output is normally going to get separated. We have experienced this isolation kind of a job by using a transformer in the rectifier. Now we have used a transformer in the rectifier. Why we have to use a transformer in the rectifier? We have to use a transformer in the rectifier to isolate the input with the actual circuit. Okay, using the transformer circuit. Why? Because how the transformer is normally going to operate? The transformer is going to operate based on the principle of magnetic induction. Not directly, electrical signal is not directly connected to the output of the transformer. Only by magnetic induction the input signal is connected to the output signal, which means what? The input and output circuits are electrically isolated because of the transformer circuit. So that's what we have used that as a isolator only. So now here also we are using an isolator. Now why we have to use an isolator? That is a very, very important point. You can never have any of the microwave circuits without the isolator. Why the isolator has to be there? Let us look into this. Already we discussed about the concept known as transmission line in the EMTL subject. Once again, I just wanted to brush up the minimum concepts which are required for isolator to understand. That is enough. Now imagine that there is a parallel line, transmission line, and it is totally open circuited. Now in this transmission line, some electric field components are simply getting transmitted. Now what will happen now? This is totally open circuited. Once it is totally open circuited, no EM wave is going to get radiated from this open circuited transmission line. Why? Because all the components, that means here you normally going to have two components you normally going to have. Yeah, so now electric field is now transmitting in this direction. Due to this electric field, what will happen? A magnetic field lines are going to get induced here. Magnetic field lines are simply going to get induced like this, due to the property of what? Property of what? Ampere's law. What the Ampere's law is going to speak to us? If a time varying current is allowed to pass through a wire or any parallel line, then what happens? It is going to induce a magnetic field. So it is going to induce a magnetic field. Now this magnetic field is going to induced. Now as the magnetic field is inducing, what will happen now? We already discussed about two very good equations. Del cross E is equal to minus dou B by dou T, and del cross H is equal to sigma E plus dou E by or dou D by dou T. These two are the Maxwell's equations we have. Now due to the changing electric field, if electric field is time varying, now if you assume that you are discussing with a conducting medium, non-conductive, free space with no conductivity, now we can just have this dou D by dou T. So this we can write as equal to del cross H is equal to epsilon simply dou E by dou T. Now here electric field is time varying. A time varying electric field is going to produce a magnetic field. Now magnetic field means what? Magnetic field lines are always starts from north pole and ends at south pole. That means the magnetic field lines are simply going to get induced in this particular wire. Because of this magnetic field, what will happen now? What is the equation? First equation I have dou B by dou T. What is B? B is the magnetic flux density. So because there is a change in the this magnetic flux is also now changing now. Because there is a change in magnetic flux, we normally going to produce the electric field. So now what happens here is the electric field directions are normally going to be opposite in the two lines of the transmission line, and these two values are going to be same, and 180 degrees they are going to have the phase shift. Because of this, what will happen now? What is the net resultant wave which is being transmitted? Zero. That means there won't be any radiation of the EM waves from such a transmission line. So that is the reason why we are using an antennas to radiate the electromagnetic signals. Because of this reason, we are normally transmitting signals via antenna. Now the same problem what happens here is, what will happen here is, whenever a waveguide is going to transmit some signal from the input to the output port, from input port to the output port, what will happen? Some portion of the signal is simply going to get reflected back. Some portion will get reflected back, however maybe the efficient the waveguide is, but some portion is simply going to get reflected back. Now what will happen now if isolator is not there? This klystron tube which has been used to generate the oscillations are simply going to get reflected back at any point of time. That means all these are going to be simply the versions of waveguides, that is variable attenuator, frequency meter, slotted line section. Now your wave, your electromagnetic wave, that means your electric field or magnetic field is simply may get reflected back. So once it is reflected back, it will simply go and come and enter into the klystron tube. Now klystron tube is already going to be very hot device. So added to this heater, this heat is also going to get added. So because of this klystron tube is simply going to get damaged. To protect this particular klystron tube, what I am doing? I am simply putting an isolator. What is isolator? Isolator is something like a one-way transmission. It transmits only from port 1 to to port 2. That's all. So isolator is a device which is always going to transmit the signal from port 1 to port 2. So every microwave circuits are definitely going to have an oscillator whenever a processing of the signal is concerned in the waveguide, in the transmission section. Now this entire setup will be there, this entire setup, this kind of a setup will be there at the transmitter of the at the transmission section or at the receiver section of the antennas in wave propagation. So definitely this is the entire setup which we have to use to transmit any electromagnetic wave through the transmitting antenna. So ultimately the process signal from this waveguide, from this microwave setup bench, will be transmitted by a transmitting antenna finally. Okay, so therefore we have to compulsorily undergo with all these blocks which are very important for us, which are going to be the basic blocks. Now if necessary is there, we normally going to use. If necessary is not there, we can remove other blocks except the isolator block, because isolator is always going to be the very important block for us for a signal to get transmitted. Okay. So the next section, isolator is normally used to transmit signal in only one direction, that is port 1 to port 2, whereas reverse is not true. Reverse is not true. Next one is variable attenuator. This is also a waveguide which is normally used to reduce or increase the strength of the signal. So that's what variable attenuator. Already we discussed about attenuation. So what is attenuation? So something like this we discussed, remember? Say if it is R1, if this is R2, what is the output we are going to have now? Output V0 by Vi. If this is Vi, if this is V0, we can have this as R2 by R1 plus R2. This is the equation already we have, we know. Now what is this circuit is actually doing? It is simply attenuating the input signal by R1 plus R2, because we will be getting voltage across R2. So therefore output voltage is nothing but R2 into input voltage by sum of the resistances. Means what? It is simply working like a simple attenuator circuit. Similar kind of thing is happening over here, which is known as a variable attenuator, normally used to reduce the strength of the input signal. The next one is frequency meter. This frequency meter is normally used to set the frequency that you wanted to transmit to the transmitting antenna. So therefore we normally going to set the frequency from this frequency meter, and also we measure the frequency that is being transmitted through the waveguide. So therefore we normally going to use a frequency meter. The next one is going to be a slotted section. Slotted section is normally used to change the wavelength of the signal that we are going to transmit. And finally you are going to have a VSWR meter. So what is VSWR stands for? Voltage standing wave ratio. So why this voltage standing wave ratio is important? What is most important is whatever which is being processed by this entire setup has to be effectively transmitted into the load. Now if it is not getting transmitted into the load, then what does it mean now? Some portion of the wave or a signal got simply reflected back. Now VSWR is going to tell about how much, what is the amount of the reflection that has been taken place, that has been explained, that has been told by the VSWR meter. So this VSWR is going to range from 1 to infinity. The practical value of VSWR is going to be 2 to around 5 is going to be the practical value of VSWR in the microwave circuits. Then finally you normally going to have the load. Okay, so this is the basic setup of the microwave circuit. So in the microwave circuit we normally going to prefer the microwave components. Now we have got so many types of microwave components. We have got so many types of microwave components such as circulator. Apart from this, in between after isolator, in between this, based on the applications, based on the requirements, we use many other components apart from the waveguides. What are the components that we are going to use? We are going to use a circulator, we will be using a E plane T, H plane T, directional coupler, okay, so tunable probes, magic T. So all these are the various components of the microwave system. So using those components we normally going to process the signals. So it is something like we have an amplifier. In the case of the amplifier circuit, we are going to have a capacitor, resistor, inductor. So like that, we are going to have so many components. So every component is going to have its own specific activity to perform. Based on the requirement, we normally going to use the different kinds of the microwave components in this particular microwave setup, so that the signal can be simply processed and been transmitted to the receiver. So this is what we normally going to have the microwave circuit or microwave test bench. This is known as a microwave test bench or microwave setup bench. So it is not like that is the reason why the maintenance cost of the microwave communication is going to be very less, but installation cost of the microwave systems is going to be very high. Once the microwave circuits are installed, once the microwave communication is taking place, then the maintenance cost of that microwave setup is simply going to be very, very negligible, very, very low. But the components are going to be costly because they are not simple resistors, they are not simple capacitors. Therefore, the cost is simply going to be huge. But once it is established, it is simply going to be there for many long years without much maintenance. Therefore, the government organizations can able to really afford this microwave communications to take place. So with this, we normally complete about the basics of the microwave circuit that we normally going to employ in the microwave techniques subject. Now we will get back to this cavity resonators now. Using a microwave rectangular waveguide, we can construct the cavity resonators. So that means cavity resonator is also known as a rectangular waveguide, but it has been constructed in such a manner that this particular waveguide, rectangular waveguide, is going to produce the standing waves. So that means it is simply going to work like a isolator. That means, it simply works like an oscillator. So because what is oscillator? Oscillator is going to generate the oscillations at microwave frequencies. So if at all you wanted to generate the oscillations from the circuit, from the waveguide, we normally going to construct it like a cavity resonator circuit. Now let us look into this cavity resonator circuit. Now how we normally going to construct this. Say for example, if this is a waveguide that you are going to have, this waveguide, I can draw it like this waveguide. Okay. So this is the waveguide. Now all these are the walls. This is going to be the bottom wall, this is going to be the top wall, this is the left side wall, this is the right side wall, and there are two openings in the rectangular waveguide. This is a rectangular waveguide where the height of this waveguide is equal to b, which we discussed already, where width is nothing but or breadth is nothing but a, and this is the input side, port 1, and I can call it as say port 2. Now what will happen is, here in the case of cavity resonators, this particular distance, which is nothing but equal to some d, so this distance is going to be fixed based on the wavelength. So based on the multiples of lambda by 2 wavelengths. That means d is nothing but equal to n times lambda by 2, n times lambda by 2 wavelengths. Say example, this d could be equal to some 3 into lambda by 2 distance. That means the length of this particular, the distance or distance between the port 1 and port 2 is going to be d. That d can be equal to 3 lambda by 2. So why it is 3 lambda by 2? Because for every lambda by 2, it is going to generate the standing waves. Now here what we do is, we normally going to supply some EM wave, electromagnetic signal, or we normally transmit TE mode or TM mode signal to flow through this. So once we transmit some say TM mode wave, what is TM mode wave means? TM means transverse magnetic field. That means E wave, it is known as E wave or E field wave. So if imagine that we are transmitting TM mode, that is called E field mode, through this particular rectangular waveguide. This is a rectangular waveguide. Through this we transmit the waveguide, and we normally going to close this waveguide at other end based on this particular simple equation, that is called the distance is going to be multiples of the lambda by 2. So for example, if I take this d is equal to 3 lambda by 2, what is lambda? Lambda is nothing but wavelength of the signal that you well. Now in this waveguide, now this is simply a rectangular waveguide. What we are doing now, we are simply going to transmit some either TM mode or TE mode from port 1, and instead of taking the output from port 2, what we normally going to do is, we normally going to close this particular port 2. Once after we supply some signal from port 1, and at port 2, what is the distance of port? It is going to be some 3 times lambda by 2 or 5 times lambda by 2 or 7 times lambda by 2. Like that we normally going to take the value of this n. So based on the value of n, we are going to increase the distance here, right? So now let us suppose we have taken this as 3 lambda by 2, 3 lambda by 2 distance between port 1 and port 2. So now here this waveguide is normally going to, this is the waveguide we have, okay. This waveguide is going to transmit the wave. Now I can just draw this figure something like this waveguide representation. Now I can, that means if you see from the front side, if you see from the front view, okay, not side view, if you see from side view, you are going to see this opening, right? If you see from front view, you simply see 2 lines here. Okay, so let us go with the side view representation now. Now this wave will be simply transmitted like this, Now if you set the distance between the port 1 and port 2 to 3 lambda by 2, then what happens? The same wave is simply going to get reflected back with the same lambda by 2 distance. Now you normally going to get reflections. Once after it comes to this boundary, it hits this boundary, and once again this wave is simply once again going to get reflected back towards the port 2. Here port 2 it is closed now. Port 2 is closed now. This is port 1, P1, this is P2. Both are closed now. That means the wave which is being transmitted from port 1 will come to the port 2, and since port 2 is closed, it is going to get reflected back to port 1. From port 1 it will go into the port 2. That means the wave is normally going to move from back and forth, generating the oscillations. Now here what we do now, we normally going to put a tap here, which is a tunable tap. This tunable tap is not going to act like an attenuator. It is not going to lose the signal here. It is only going to tap the signal which is simply coming over here. If you tap the signal, RF signal, we normally going to get a microwave RF signals. So therefore this, since it is generating the oscillations, we can call it as a oscillator. Now it is simply resonating. What it is doing now actually, it is resonating to the required frequencies. Since it is resonating to the required frequencies, we call it as a resonator. Now what kind of resonator it is? Cavity resonator. What is the meaning of cavity? If you see this carefully, there is a hollow space between one end and the other end. It is something like a water pipe. In water pipe you are going to, if you see between two ends, definitely in between you are going to have a empty space. Similarly here also you are going to have an empty space in this particular thing, that is known as a cavity. So that means since it is this oscillations based on resonance has been developed by using the cavity construction, we simply call it as a cavity resonators. So we have two types of cavity resonators in the syllabus. One is going to be the rectangular cavity resonator. And next one is going to be the circular cavity resonator. What is circular waveguide you are going to have? Simple, it is going to be like a cylindrical coordinate system. So circular waveguide is normally going to support a cylindrical coordinate system. That means simply this waveguide is going to, the face of the waveguide is going to be like a circle. Okay, so it's going to be like a circle. So this is going to be a circular waveguide. So where this is going to be, the center is going to be the axis of the waveguide. Now this waveguide is known as a circular waveguide. It is going to be a rectangular waveguide. So if you construct a resonator using a rectangular waveguide, it becomes a rectangular cavity resonator. If you construct a resonator by using circular waveguide, it is simply called as a simply called as a circular cavity resonator. Okay, so it is based on the waveguide that you are using, the name is normally going to get followed. So in the next class, what we do, we will try to understand about how a signal is being transmitted through this particular cavity resonator. Thank you very much.